My sister claimed there was a family emergency to get me home, then informed me I'd be raising her kids, cleaning, and paying groceries while she recharged. "This is a great way for you to finally contribute," my mom said, handing me a stack of unpaid bills in my name. I smiled, said, "Thank you," and handed over a document that made me. I got the call on a Tuesday. My sister's voice was shaking, like she'd been crying. She said there was a family emergency, that mom was sick, and they needed me home, now. I didn't ask for details. I just packed, rescheduled my week, and started driving. 8 hours straight, through rain and traffic. I showed up tired, worried, and ready to help. That was my first mistake. The moment I stepped inside, the tone shifted. No one looked sick. No one looked worried. My sister was in sweatpants and a face mask, lounging on the couch like it was Sunday brunch. Mom didn't even get up from the dining table. She waved at me like I was the mailman and said, "Perfect timing. You can start with the groceries." I blinked. "Groceries?" She pointed to a long receipt. "Fridge is empty. You're paying, right? You make the most." Then my sister added, "And since you're here, we figured you could watch the kids for a few days. I need to recharge." She actually used that word, recharge, like I was a Tesla supercharger and she just needed to plug in. I didn't react. I just nodded. "That's what I do. That's what they expect." "You don't have kids or a spouse," Mom added. "This is a great way for you to finally contribute." Then she handed me a stack of bills. My name was on all of them: utilities, streaming services, the security system I'd installed. Unpaid. I was apparently not just the errand boy, but the financier too. I smiled, said, "Thank you." Then I reached into my backpack and handed her a folder. She didn't open it immediately. She just looked at me like I'd handed her junk mail. That's when I left. Quietly. No argument. No scene. Just walked out the door. They didn't notice. I heard my sister say something like, "What's his problem?" as I stepped off the porch. In the car, I checked my phone. 10 unread notifications from the bank, all tied to accounts and services I'd set up for them. Some in my name, others just using my credentials. That's when the first layer of silence set in. Not the peaceful kind. The cold kind. The kind that slips over your shoulders and tells you, you were never wanted here. You were just tolerated. And even that had a cost. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat in the driveway of the house I grew up in and let the weight of every unpaid thank you and every weaponized silence settle around me. Then I started making quiet moves, and none of them noticed. I sat in the car, unmoving, watching the porch light flicker above the front door of the house I helped pay for. And I started remembering. Not one moment. All of them. They didn't blur together. They sharpened. Like cuts. I remembered the Christmas I bought everyone gifts, hundreds of dollars spent, and all I got was a re-gifted mug with a broken handle. I remembered birthdays where I was too busy to invite. I remembered the time my sister needed help covering rent, and I wired the money the same day. And she posted a meme calling me a desperate doormat a week later. I remembered the wedding. God, the wedding. Not hers. Mine. The one they didn't show up to. Mom had a headache. Dad had a prior commitment. My sister forgot the date. I stood at the altar, one arm still healing from surgery, and looked out at a crowd of rented chairs. Half empty, half embarrassed. And afterward, not even a text. Just a forwarded message about a GoFundMe for someone else. I was never the son, never the brother. I was the ATM, the project manager, the fixer. I remembered the time I sent flowers on Mother's Day. My mom texted back, "Next time, just send the money." Every memory that returned came with clarity I hadn't allowed myself before. Every insult passed off as a joke. Every manipulation wrapped in guilt. Every dinner where I picked up the check while they laughed behind my back. And it was always the same pattern. I gave, they erased. I helped, they humiliated. I stayed quiet, they assumed I was fine. They didn't see me. Not really. Just what I could offer. Not a person. A pipeline. A tool. A ladder. And now that I was back, after driving 8 hours because my sister screamed emergency, I was being handed a list of unpaid bills in my name and assigned the role of unpaid nanny while she recharged. That's when the shift happened. Not emotionally. Strategically. I opened my laptop in the car, tethered it to my phone, logged into the shared utilities account, the one I'd set up so they wouldn't fall behind, canceled autopay, changed the password, logged into the family's cloud storage. My company managed the backend. Killed their access. One by one, I pulled receipts, bank statements, access logs, chat transcripts, That gifted iPad my niece used for school, still registered to my Apple account. The family plan on Spotify, mine. The grocery deliveries my mom assumed were some magical recurring miracle. They were tied to a credit card she never had the number for. And then I saw it, the mortgage. I'd co-signed it years ago, quietly, because the rate's better with you on it. That's what Dad said. And now I was the only reason they still had the house. And they knew it. That's why they lied. That's why they baited me with the word emergency. Because they were drowning, and they thought I was still desperate enough for approval to be their lifeline. But this time I wasn't. Because in that moment, staring at the soft glow of my dashboard, listening to the hum of the porch light flickering, I saw the truth for the first time without excuses or fantasy. I was not part of this family. I was their infrastructure, their emotional sewer system. Quiet, unseen, always working, until it stopped. And now? Now I was done. Not in anger, not even in grief. Just done. But I wasn't leaving empty-handed. I was taking the blueprint with me. The one they never bothered to look at. The one that showed just how deep my roots ran through their fake stability. Because if they thought this was me being dramatic, they hadn't seen anything yet. They built their comfort on my silent support. And now I was going to make sure they felt the full weight of its collapse. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was angry. That had already passed. I didn't toss, didn't replay the conversation, didn't even think about what they said. Because by then, my mind had clicked into a different mode. Cold, surgical, strategic. At 2:17 a.m., I was already at my cousin Maya's house, sitting at her kitchen counter with my laptop open and coffee I didn't even remember pouring. She saw it on my face, the stillness, the calculation, and didn't ask a single question. She just sat nearby with her own laptop, like we were coordinating war logistics. Because that's exactly what it was. I started with the basics. Bank accounts. I logged into the shared utility account, the one I'd created to streamline their bills. Canceled every scheduled payment. Removed my card. Changed the admin access and locked them out. Next came the streaming platforms. My Netflix, my Hulu, my Amazon Prime. All tied to my email. All used freely by the people who couldn't spare me a kitchen seat. Gone. Every profile deleted. Then came the phone plan. 5 lines. Me, my parents, my sister, and her husband. I didn't cancel. I transferred ownership. They had 72 hours to accept the new terms. If they didn't, every number would be deactivated. Then the Wi-Fi mesh system I installed personally. Their security cameras, linked to my cloud infrastructure, my company's tools. Their smart locks, thermostats, even the lawn irrigation schedule was built on software I licensed for them. At 3:04 a.m., I disabled their access. Quietly. No alert. Just silence. At 3:26 a.m., my sister texted me. Why aren't the cameras working? I didn't answer. I moved to the deeper layers next. The mortgage. This was the one that had me leaning back in my chair, breathing deep. I'd co-signed it 4 years ago, when their credit was in the dirt and the bank wouldn't even offer a dog loan. But I had leverage now. I reached out to the lender, requested a co-signer removal review, and submitted updated financials. The rep remembered me. I once helped him recover a corrupted server. He expedited the request. The kicker? My parents didn't qualify anymore. Not even close. Their income had dropped, debt-to-income ratio spiked. Without me, they'd be forced to refinance at a brutal rate. If they could refinance at all. I didn't care. That house wasn't my problem. Then I opened the spreadsheet. Yes, I had a spreadsheet. Because you don't survive a family like mine without receipts. Every account, every payment, every favor, every lie. I went line by line. My mom's new laptop, leased through my business account. My dad's online accounting software, still registered under my license. The family's shared password manager, created and maintained by me. Each one, terminated, removed, locked. It wasn't malicious. It was math. They'd outsourced their digital life to me, assuming I'd never pull the plug. But I did. Then came the emails. First, my parents' small accounting firm, the one I set up their backend for, free of charge. Second, my uncle's dental clinic, still using firewall and data redundancy protocols I designed 8 years ago. I opened our company admin portal, found both clients, and reclassified them as terminated. Their infrastructure? Gone. Not deleted, just removed from our systems. I wasn't sabotaging. I was resigning. I left a simple message in both dashboards. This system was maintained at no cost for over a decade. Effective today, Access has been revoked. Thank you. At 4:42 a.m. My phone started buzzing. Dad, 3 missed calls. Mom, 6 texts. Uncle, voicemail, we're locked out. Can you fix it? No, I could not. Maya was still beside me, watching quietly. Then she said, they're not mad. They're scared. I nodded. They weren't angry because I'd cut them off. They were terrified because for the first time, I wasn't playing the role. I wasn't John the Fixer. I was John the Firewall. By 8 a.m., my inbox was full. From the dental office manager, we can't access patient records. From the firm's CPA, all our billing software is offline. From my mom, please, just fix it. You're better than this. I didn't reply to any of them. Instead, I forwarded their contacts to a commercial IT firm I trusted and wrote, they'll need a full system rebuild. Charge your standard rate plus emergency recovery. By noon, my financial advisor had transferred my assets into a trust. A new one, with a clause that explicitly excluded my parents and sister from any financial benefit. I wasn't just unplugging the machines. I was cutting the wires, welding them shut, and building a firewall so high they'd never climb it again. That afternoon, my sister tried calling. I let it ring. Then I got a text. Was it worth it? You're alone now. Maya looked at it, then at me. No, you're not. And that's when I realized. This wasn't revenge. This was extraction. This was a rescue mission for myself. I wasn't punishing them. I was refusing to participate. They hadn't just used me. They drained me emotionally, called it love, and never noticed the cost. So I stopped. Stopped answering. Stopped fixing. Stopped pretending. And as the digital silence grew, they finally started to feel what I had felt for years. Invisible. But unlike them, I wouldn't cry about it. I just let the silence speak louder than I ever could. They didn't react immediately. That's what surprised me. After I disabled access, rerouted the mortgage, revoked every system, and locked down everything they took for granted, the first 12 hours were silent. But by the evening of day 1, the texts began to crawl in. From Mom, what happened to the thermostat? From Dad, why are the phones saying pending transfer? From my sister, you're being petty. We needed help, not drama. I ignored them, but I knew that was only the beginning, because my family didn't know how to operate without control. And now they were floating in it, spinning in silence. And silence, for them, was louder than any explosion. On day 2, the mask slipped. At exactly 9:04 a.m., I got the first group message. From Dad. You need to stop this. It's childish. Family helps each other. My sister. You're only upset because you didn't get your way. And my mom, a master of guilt-wrapped expectations. You think we owe you for things we never asked for. You're not a martyr, John. I read it 3 times. Not because it hurt. Because it was so predictable. So scripted. They didn't even know they were repeating a pattern. I didn't answer. Instead, I opened my lawyer's email. He'd filed the paperwork that morning. Removal of co-signature, confirmed. Asset transfer, completed. Restraining clause added to the trust fund, effective immediately. And then an unexpected surprise. An alert from my company's compliance team. Someone had tried accessing the old shared credentials to our infrastructure hub from an IP address registered to my uncle's office. I didn't need to guess. They were trying to backdoor their way in, regain access, patch the leaks. So I tightened security further, reissued new encryption protocols, notified legal, and then I made one final move. I forwarded everything to our external auditor, not just to protect myself, but to make it official. At 3:12 p.m. that day, the backlash started. Voicemail from Mom. You've destroyed your own family. Over what? Some bills. Voicemail from Dad. You'll regret this. You think these people you're talking to now will be there forever? They won't. We're your blood. And the most pathetic from my sister. You're clearly overwhelmed. We're worried about you. We're telling people you're just having a breakdown so they don't think worse. That one made me pause. Because it was a play I knew well. The he's not angry, he's unstable trick. The easiest way to discredit someone is to reframe their clarity as chaos. So I saved the message, downloaded it, archived it, forwarded it to my lawyer, then shut off my phone. By day 3, the smearing started. Cousin Ellie texted me, "Hey, you okay? Just saw something weird." She sent a screenshot, a vague post from my mother's Facebook page. It's always the quiet ones you have to worry about. Prayers for healing and guidance. Below it, 46 likes. 17 comments. Mostly fake concern. One said, He was always so cold. I guess now we know why. Another. Hope you're all safe. Let us know if you need anything. I wasn't tagged, but I didn't need to be. Everyone knew who it was about. I didn't comment, but Ellie did. She wrote, "You relied on him until he couldn't take it anymore, and now you're acting like the victim? Shame on you." They deleted her comment within an hour, then blocked her. Day 4 was the escalation. An email from an unknown sender reached my company's HR inbox. Anonymous Gmail. No name. Just a subject line. Concern about John internal fraud. Inside, a half-page of fabricated accusations. Allegations of financial misconduct, data manipulation, even unauthorized access to client infrastructure. They wrote it like someone who knew corporate structure, legal triggers, and just enough buzzwords to sound dangerous. But they made one mistake. They referenced a client complaint from 2020. One that never existed, because in 2020, I was on medical leave recovering from surgery. I pulled the email headers. Traced the IP. Guess where it came from? My dad's office. Same subnet used for their tax filing software. They tried to destroy my career, the very system that paid for their luxuries. So I did what they feared most. I went public. Not with drama. With receipts. That evening, I posted a thread. No names. No finger-pointing. Just facts. A list of systems I created and maintained. Screenshots of the payments I'd made over the years. A redacted summary of the attempted smearing email, including timestamp and IP trace. A simple sentence to close it. Sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is cancel the subscriptions they didn't even know you were paying for. By midnight, it had 2,000 shares, 500 comments, dozens of DMs. People telling their own stories. People recognizing the pattern. People saying, "Thank you. I thought I was alone." My mom saw it. She emailed me the next morning. Subject line. "We need to talk. Please. The body. You've always been so cold. I didn't know it hurt you this much. Can't we fix this before it gets worse?" I forwarded it to my lawyer, then blocked her email. Day 6, they showed up. Literally. Knocked on Maya's door at 7:48 p.m., Mom, Dad, and my sister, standing like a sad version of an intervention crew. Maya answered. Didn't invite them in. Dad tried to step past her. She blocked him. "We just want to talk," my mom said. "It doesn't have to be like this." But it did. I stood behind Maya. Calm. Unmoving. "You said I ruined every holiday. Every gathering. That you didn't need me." Mom's face dropped. My sister stepped forward. "We were upset. You know how holidays are. And now that the mortgage is bouncing and the cloud system is offline, you suddenly care?" Silence. Then my dad exploded. "You're acting like some big shot. You think this is power? You think money makes you important?" I looked him in the eye. "No. But cutting off people who treat me like trash? That makes me free." They didn't respond. They left eventually. And as they backed out of the driveway, my mom shouted, "You'll regret this." I turned to Maya. "No. They will." I didn't plan to go public. Not really. I didn't want the spectacle. Didn't crave the attention. But I realized something on day 7. Silence wasn't enough anymore. Not when they were actively rewriting the narrative. They weren't just smearing me behind closed doors. They were smearing me professionally. Socially. They were telling people I was unwell. That I'd snapped. That I was unstable. Dangerous. And worst of all, that they did nothing wrong. So I did what they never expected. I published everything. No rage. No rants. Just a Google Drive folder labeled Transparency with 6 subfolders. Financials, screenshots of every recurring payment I covered for the past decade. Access logs, logs showing infrastructure setups, login credentials, IP addresses used to breach them. Audio, a voice message from my sister calling me a walking disappointment. Screenshots, texts from my parents mocking my disability after my surgery. Legal, the restraining order filings, and proof of the false fraud report submitted against me. They called it help, a spreadsheet labeled. Every time I helped, and what I got in return. Then I wrote one paragraph. Just one. This isn't revenge. This isn't drama. This is the truth. When someone spends years being treated like a tool, and they finally put the wrench down, it doesn't make them broken. It makes them human. I shared the link on my private profile. No tags. No names. Just the truth. Within 48 hours, it spread like fire in a dry forest. People shared their own stories. People connected dots I hadn't even drawn. A former neighbor messaged me, "I always wondered why you never showed up to their parties. Now I know." One of my dad's clients forwarded the post to their office manager, asked if the firm was still stable, given the leadership chaos. My sister's fiance's boss emailed me asking if there was any reason we should be concerned about Mark's reputation based on recent circulating documents. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that part. Mark, my sister's ex-fiancé, yes, ex, because the wedding was canceled, was part of the fraud attempt. I traced the email, the burner account, the VPN slip-up, the phone metadata. So I handed everything over to my attorney and let him do what attorneys do best, forward it to Mark's employer. His contract was suspended within 24 hours. That wasn't revenge either. It was alignment. When you build on falsehoods, don't be shocked when the truth eventually catches up. Then came the calls. Uncle Mike first. You didn't have to go a clean and final separation. I replied, then you shouldn't have poured gasoline on the bridge. Then Aunt Renee, you could have come to us directly. You sat at the table while they joked about me. That was directly. But the one that hit hardest was Grandpa Joe. He didn't call. He showed up, unannounced. Again, he walked in with a copy of the printed documents in his hand. Looked at me. No anger. No pity. Just nodded. And said, told them it'd come out someday. They just didn't think you'd be the one to say it. I asked him, do they get it now? He laughed, bitter and tired. No, but everyone else does. And that's enough. The power had shifted, not because I shouted, but because I refused to stay quiet. They called me broken for walking away. Now, they were the ones explaining why the internet was calling them people who consistently denied the truth and blamed others for the fallout. Now, they had to explain to clients why systems were failing, why the son they loved had filed an injunction, why no one in the family returned their calls anymore. Because truth has a way of doing what guilt never can. Ending the illusion.